Hi,
Archie,
aka Eb and Bob.
Eb and Bob. How are you?
Very good.
I haven't seen you in so long.
Not so long. You just see me yesterday.
That was fun. Thank you for coming. Okay. Well, we are on the very last chapter of this book. You know, it's interesting. I like it when authors have a good story has a beginning, a middle, and an end. But I like it when authors make the very beginning and the very end kind of like bookends. Actually, I can show you what a bookend is because I see some right over here. Have you ever seen things that look like this?
Yes.
You know what you use them for?
To help books.
To help books what?
To help books stand because it would lie down.
That's right. So if we put a bunch of books on a bookshelf, maybe they'll all fall over. But if we put one of these at one end and this part here goes under the book, we slide it up next to it. And then we put this one at the other end and slides under the book. Then this will keep the books from falling over. And we can call these bookends. And I like it when an author kind of makes the beginning and the end of the book like bookends. It's like, also reminds me of symmetry. Do you know that word? Symmetry is if you have something and when you fold it in half and open it up, both sides look exactly the same. That would be symmetrical. If this side looks different from this side, then they are not symmetrical. So I'm not saying that I like it if the beginning of the story and the end of the story are exactly the same. But in this book, they're starting with the boys raking leaves and they're ending with the boys raking leaves. They're starting with Nick and Daniel and Jigsaw raking the leaves of their own house. Nick and Daniel talk about their idea to get a leaf raking business. And then in the end, in the last chapter, Nick and Daniel and Jigsaw are going to be raking the leaves of a house. And we will hear again about the leaf raking business. And so how the story started and how the story ends are kind of the same topic. And so I see that as, it just makes sense to my brain. It seems like good bookends. It seems like the author is doing a good job of finishing what she started. Here we are back to chapter 11, and we can see that there's going to be leaves and raking. And this is called a gift of autumn. Well, this word autumn is another word for fall. So there are 4 seasons, and we know that we have winter would be the last part of December, January, February, and the first part of March. And then after winter, we have spring, which will be the last part of March, April, May, and the first part of June. And then we have summer, which is the middle of June through July, August, into the beginning of September. And then we come to the fall, which is the middle of September through October, November, and into the beginning of December. But another word for fall is autumn. So this story is taking place near Halloween, which is October 31st. So that is right in the middle of fall or autumn. And in some parts of the world, like where they live, the trees have leaves that are turning gold, orange, red, and falling from the tree onto the ground, thus the need for raking them up. All right, I want to just check to see, where did chapter 10 end? Okay, so it ended with Jigsaw and Mila at Kim's house, kind of explaining to Kim the answer to this whole mystery. And the person who did it is Buzzy Lennon. So he's the answer to the question, who? So when they've tried to figure out who took the necklace, who wanted Jigsaw to be the one to drop off the money, who wanted Jigsaw to think that the scarecrow was haunted, who was taking down Nick and Daniel's leaf raking business posters all over town. The answer to all of these questions, who, is Buzzy Lennon. And he was dressed up like a haunted scarecrow. All right, so now we're still at Kim's house, and Kim is listening to all of this. And so Kim's fingers went to her throat. Now what's at her throat? Okay, well, here's mine, right? It's her necklace. Jigsaw, noticed for the first time that she was wearing the necklace. And we can look back here and see right here. So here is Kim wearing the necklace. Now, this chapter tells us it's about Kim. It starts out with what Kim is doing. So here this word, but, that will be Kim talking. Because when a person is doing something or talking, they get their own paragraph. And so this paragraph is about what Kim is doing and what Kim is saying. So she says, but, and then I'm going to skip ahead because there's a new paragraph and there's quotation marks. This tells me someone new is talking, but I don't know who it is. My eyes are going to just look ahead real quickly to see who it is, see that it's Mila, and then come back and see what she says. The necklace never mattered, Mila explained. It was a phony crime to get Jigsaw over there. It was a phony crime to get Jigsaw over there. So let's look at this. This is interesting. Phony and crime. Well, a crime is when someone does something that is against the law. Okay, it breaks a rule, it's against the law. That is a crime. So they can get in trouble for that, like stealing. That's a crime. A phony, well, phony means it's fake. It's not real. I think they're calling this a phony crime because who was Buzzy's partner? It was his girlfriend, Kayla, who was Kim's sister. Buzzy probably had Kim take the necklace. And since Kim is her sister and they knew all along that they were going to give it back and they weren't even going to take the money, it was, they weren't really planning to actually steal her necklace, not give it back or get money. It wasn't about the necklace, right? Why did they take the necklace? Just to have a reason to get Jigsaw to go to the Rigby place so he could see the haunted scarecrow, who was really Buzzy waiting for him, getting ready to scare him, right? They just wanted to get Jigsaw over to the Rigby place. It must have been easy for Kayla, Kim's sister, Buzzy's girlfriend in middle school, to take it. Your room, he says, or she, this is Mila talking, she says to Kim, your room isn't exactly Fort Knox. Fort Knox. So I should show you a picture of Fort Knox. This is a picture I found of Fort Knox. I've never been there. I cannot confirm this is what it really looks like. But Fort Knox is I think it's a military base in the United States, but it's where the country's gold is stored, like where the gold owned by the United States where the gold owned by the United States government is kept. So the United States government has a lot of gold. Well, where are they going to keep the gold and keep it safe? So they need to have a place that's really well protected, well guarded, and almost impossible for anyone to break in and steal the gold. And so Fort Knox is considered, I think, one of the hardest places to break into in the whole entire world. So if something is in there, it's very safe. So that means Fort Knox is often used in expressions to talk about how safe something is. You know, so if you say it's as safe as Fort Knox, it means, wow, totally safe. You don't have to worry about anybody stealing from you. And so you can see here when you look, this picture is pretty blurry actually, but you can see, you know, I think this is it right here, but all of this space around it, there's nowhere to hide, right? I mean, the person can't use big boulders or trees or rocks or hills or anything, bushes, you know, for hiding.
There's a plane.
And the plane, I think there's always a plane, I'm guessing, I think I know that from the movies, that there's always a plane or a helicopter or a drone or something up here that's also paying attention to what's happening down here so that nobody can sneak in. You know, if anyone wants to come in, that they will see them coming, right? A mile away. Now, I looked for, well, what does inside Fort Knox look like? Now, again, I haven't been in there, so I don't know if this is true, but this would be gold. And then this would just look like rows and rows of the gold being stored. And this is another picture that I found. And again, I don't know if this is true either, but this would all be gold. And the idea is that it's just very, very safe. So what we need to know for our story is that if something is like Fort Knox, you are not going to be able to steal it. It's just going to be very well guarded. And what Mila says to Kim is your bedroom isn't exactly Fort Knox, which means it is super easy to steal things from your bedroom. It's not locked up. There's no video camera. There is no surveillance. There's no traps. There's no tricks. There's no, you know, there's nothing. You can just walk in and take whatever you want, right? She's like, your room is not Fort Knox. But then Kim has a good question here. She says, but Kayla answered the phone. Kim protested. Protesting means you're saying, I don't agree, right? Your idea doesn't make sense to me. I have a different opinion. Like, I don't agree with what you're saying. This is a problem. She goes, how could that be? Mila says, we thought of that already. Mila replied, well, we need to know, I don't know. How is it that if Kayla was one of the thieves, how is it that she answered the phone, right? If she was supposed to be the one calling, how did she answer? So let's see what the answer to that is. That's a tricky part of the story. Now, I think this is still Mila talking. So Mila is kind of explaining this part of the mystery. She says, so I checked the phone book. Now, I don't know if we have phone books in Taiwan, and I'm not even sure if the United States still uses phone books. But when I was a kid, every town had a phone book. And in the phone book was the name of every person who lived in the town. And next to that was their address and their phone number. Because people, when I was a kid, people did not have the iPhone or the cell phone. They had we call it a landline that's connected to a telephone pole. It would be the numbers here in Taichung that start with 04. And if we wanted to call our friend's house or call the doctor's office or call the movie theater, we would look up the phone number in the phone book. Why didn't we use the internet? Well, back when I was a kid, we didn't have the internet. That's how old I am. So we had all of the information we needed in a book called the phone book. So everybody's name would be last name first, and it would be alphabetical from A to Z. So my name, Camp, started with a C, so you'd have to look up under the C's, C-A, C-A-M, C-A-M-P, and then it would probably give my dad's first name, and then it might give our address or might not, and then it would give our phone number. So the author that wrote this book, Jigsaw Jones, I think he wrote this a while ago. I should look at the copyright date of the book to see when did he write this. I'm going to guess he wrote it in the 1990s. Okay, so here's the book. And when I open it up and I take a look, I look down for the C. I don't know if you can see it.
2001.
Yes. Okay, that is the year 2001, which was, well, if we're in the year 2021 right now, and that was in 2001, do you know how many years ago that was?
10 or 20.
20. Yep, 20 years ago. So the author wrote this book 20 years ago, and maybe people were still using phone books. So she looked in the phone book and she found out that Kim's father has a home office. So maybe he owns a business, or maybe he has a job where he can work from his house. And maybe in the house, he has, you know, a room that is his office, and he has his computer set up, and it's where he does his work. So maybe in the morning after he finishes breakfast, he says, okay, I'm going to work. And he just walks into a different room of the house, closes the door, and does his job for, you know, from 9 o'clock in the morning until 5 o'clock in the afternoon, 9 to 5 or something like that. That would be a home office. But if that is where he's working, then he probably has a different phone number for his office and a different phone number for his house. And that way, if someone wants to call him about his job, they would call not the house phone number, but the office phone number, and the phone in his office would ring. That means from the telephone poles outside, there would be 2 lines that come in. One to the house phone, maybe there's one in the kitchen and one in maybe one someplace else. And then maybe there's a different line that comes into his office with a different phone number. Kim nodded and she goes, so Mila said, Kayla could have called here in the kitchen from inside her own house, like from an office that has a different phone number. You just need a different phone number in order to make the call from one phone number to another phone number. But it was a boy's voice, Kim said. Buzzy Lennon, no doubt, I said. He probably hid in your father's office. I remembered the sound of footsteps clomping on the stairs. It was Kayla, after all, racing upstairs to join Buzzy. The office is on the 2nd floor, right? So the kitchen was on the 1st floor. Her father would have an office on the 2nd floor of the house. When they answered right after they answered the phone in the kitchen, they could hear someone on the stairs climbing up the stairs really fast, like clomp, 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 clomp. So and meanwhile, when they answered the phone, they heard a boy's voice. That would be Buzzy upstairs in the dad's office. The person running up the stairs would be Kayla. So can you picture this? When Jigsaw, Mila, and Kim were in Kim's bedroom having a conversation about plan A or plan B, right? Should they play ball or not play ball? Kayla and Buzzy were all set up. So Buzzy hid upstairs in the office. Kayla went down into the kitchen. Buzzy called from the office phone to the house phone. So Buzzy in the dad's office made the phone call, but he's hiding. No one knows that. Kayla answers the phone in the kitchen, says, hello. And Buzzy probably said, ha, 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 it's me, Buzzy. And Kayla's like, okay, just a minute. And then Kayla went, knocked on Kim's door and said, phone. And then Kim went to the kitchen to get the phone. Kayla ran up the stairs to join Buzzy in the office. And Kayla was the giggling that we could hear in the background when Kim was talking to some boy who she had no idea who it was, or that he was in the very same house. But he had left his bike parked outside, and Jigsaw saw his bike, recognized his bike, and later when Buzzy gave Mila a ride home, and Mila knew that was Buzzy's bike, and Mila told Jigsaw about the bike because she thought it was so exciting. Remember the whole Twinkie joke about the school bus is a big yellow Twinkie? And that was the break, the lucky break. And Jigsaw found out, oh, that was Buzzy Lennon's bike at the house. And that kind of helped all of this come together. But that phone call was kind of a tricky part. And it really depended on them figuring out that Kim's father had an office in the house with a separate phone number that would allow the phone call to be from one room in the house to a different room in the house, with Buzzy and Kayla up in that other room in the dad's office that has a different phone number. Well, Kim had heard enough. Her face turned hard, angry, right? She's not happy. Her sister had kind of made a fool of her. What about Buzzy and Kayla? Kim asked. We can't let them get away with this. And that's where we're going to stop for today. And tomorrow we will find out whether or not Buzzy and Kayla do get away with this or not. All right, but for right now, it's time to say so long. Cheddar Chip.
Bye-bye.
Bye, Archie.